Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, thank you for coming and those watching. Mayor's report. You know, it was a beautiful week, and I hope you all had a chance to get out and enjoy some of the many events that were going on in Hermann this past weekend. I mean, there was a lot going on. You know, there was the quilt show, the car show on Saturday, the barrel bash at Copper Mule, the Hermann Farm Festival, the Pilot Grove concert Saturday evening. Sunday there was a motorcycle show on the riverfront and a band concert at the city park. And I'm sure I'm missing some events, but it was just a beautiful weekend. I hope you all got to enjoy part of it. And just so everybody knows, especially those that are interested in the pickleball, that the court is now complete and looks very nice, so that's done. Also, public notice that Tuesday, September 19th, from 4:30 to 6 p.m., MoDOT will have an informational meeting on the rehabbing the bridge at the Route 19 by Hermann Ford there. It's going to be held here at the City Hall, and it's just going to be an open meeting where you come in and ask them questions and so forth. It's not a formal where they're going to make a presentation or anything. So if everyone that has any questions to that, you're more than welcome to come and do that. Then, today is September 11th, our Patriot Day. 22 years ago, the unthinkable happened with the attack on our homeland. This day has a special meaning to me. Being a retired firefighter, firefighters have a tight bond. And on that day, I lost 343 of my brothers, and many more since then from illnesses from that day. There are also several police officers, medics, and of course all the civilians that perished that day. Not only there, but at the other locations. I would just like to take a few seconds of silence for those lost on that tragic day. Thank you, and never forget. Okay, City Administrator report.
The Port Authority, Steve Etcher reached out to me today and asked for one little detail. That is, the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission want us to notify the public of the comment period that they're going to have. So they want us to make this statement, Corey, that we need it recorded in the minutes. I can get it to you in written form, but it's that the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission will be receiving written comment on the city's efforts to establish the Port Authority. Comments may be submitted through September 29th, 2023, and should be directed to an email address, and that's mttc@mo.gov. And if you need that again, you can reach out to the city for that. Maybe that's something we can even put out on Facebook or something. Jesse and I will be attending a TAP meeting in St. James at MRPC on Thursday to advocate for our sidewalk grant project for the 200 block of East 4th and those few spots on the 100 block. They give us 5 minutes to make a presentation, and so we're going to go down there in person for that. I need to bring you all up to speed on the dispatching situation. So you're well aware that our staffing issues will be down to 2 dispatchers come November 30th. And we will be relying on 911 Central to cover shifts for us. So we are currently working on a 6-month contract for that. And we're working out some details. They've been very easy to work with thus far, and we hope to have that contract for you at the next board meeting. When 911's board meeting is later on this week, and so if everything goes smoothly, then we'll have it for the next meeting. There is going to be a piece of equipment that is going to be necessary for this transition, because in the past, every time the city has talked about this topic, the SCADA monitoring has always kind of been a hiccup. And so, but now, as technology progresses, they now have a piece of equipment called a dialer, and it's expensive. It's $9,500. But what it would do is it would eliminate. We no longer necessitate having a in-house monitoring system. It can be done remotely. So this dialer, you can program it with phone numbers for the electric department, the water, the sewer department. And so depending on what alarm is going off, it will call those numbers directly. And then the staff in those departments would have access to this SCADA system through an app on their phone. Of course, all the safety measures would be in place, and all the firewalls and all those things would be there. So that is what we're looking at as an option of dealing with the dispatching of the utility emergencies. So that will be coming before. Those two things will have to be in tandem, the contract and the dialer. Okay. Any questions about that before I'll have all the details for you at the next meeting. We're looking at, I don't want to say too much because the 911 board hasn't approved it yet, but we're looking at 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week. That hopefully that'll be how that happens. So just 911 Central will literally be covering 50% of the time for us for a 6-month contract. Okay, the other thing I wanted to mention is I got a call from Tri-County Trucking. They are notifying us that the tipping fees in Washington are doubling. So we only use Washington on the big trash pickup days. And he explained to me that the reason they do that is because they need the shorter turnaround time to be able, because they close like at noon, so they need to get everything picked up in town, down there, and get their trucks unloaded before noon so that they can work first thing Monday morning. So we've discussed this in the past, and our impetus for discussing it was really kind of because of the abuses of it. But now with that, plus now literally doubling the amount, it might be time to start thinking about maybe trying something different. One of those things that other cities do is have the recycling center open and staff it with a person or two on one Saturday, and have people bring in a proof of residency, possibly their utility bill, and let them bring it there. So, that would cut down on all the out-of-town people that bring things in. You are, unfortunately, going to cause some inconvenience for some people who could maybe drag something, a washing machine, out of their house down to the stoop, but maybe don't have a truck to get it to the recycling center. So it's unfortunate that it's going to be an inconvenience, but I told Dennis that we'd probably just go on with November as is, but we put a good plan in place and a lot of notification before we made any changes for the springtime one. Does that sound good? So the tipping fee was $80, and it's literally doubling. So we were spending $3,000 a year between the two pickups, and so it's now starting to be a considerable amount of money.
When is the date of the November one?
Yes. And just as a reminder, Tri-County provides the labor as part of our service contract, and we pay the tipping fees, how that works. So I will keep you posted on that, and I'll talk to some other cities and see if they have what kind of challenges they have doing it. I know like Owensville and St. Clair do it the way I was talking about, like open up the recycling center for a day. So I'll talk to some people and have a better plan going forward to at least try.
And it's the first Saturday of November?
Yes.
So November
Again,
4th.
my recommendation would be just to keep it as is for this year, and have something to try in the spring. Okay, that's all I had.
Public Works,
Electric Department has been working on several pole replacements on the east side of town. Work on that has been ongoing. Work is still continuing on park lighting as time allows. We've had a lot of new upgraded service connections. Locates have been swamping all the utility departments lately. So if you guys have anybody calling in work orders and they're not getting to them as quick as normal, that's why. We've only got 2 business days to turn around on these locates, and we're being swamped with this Brightspeed job. I saw some of these 16 came in last week one day, and that's for every department. So it takes a lot of time to do all that. The gas has been doing some checking on corrosion readings. The sewer department has started digging back towards 10th Street on Stonehill Highway for the Sand Plant Road sewer project. We'll have more on that later. They've also done some sewer investigations on Market Street on a sewer main. The water department had a couple of leaks to repair last week in the park area. Parks has been mowing and weed eating, as you guys can imagine, and then they poured the new sidewalk for the tennis court and pickleball court there last week. Streets have been mowing, tree trimming, and they got the sidewalk done for the new parking lot down at 5th Street, and they'll be starting on the apron here pretty soon. So that project's coming along as planned.
Very good. Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Yep.
We'll move on to public comments. Mr. Brown?
Good evening. I'm sure you all know why I'm here. This morning I brought in a case file of St. Joseph versus Preferred Family Health Care. Did they get a copy of this? Did everybody get a copy of this today?
No, the city attorney hasn't.
I got an email from Corey.
Okay, so just the city attorney got it?
No, everybody got it, right?
Oh, everybody got it. Okay, so I...
No,
Not what you're talking about. That just went to Dave first.
Okay. Well, okay. So I'll hand these out real quick. I don't want to take a lot of time. I know I don't have a lot of time. But I'm hoping this case will kind of settle the issue for us. I knocked it over last time I was doing this. This case addresses exactly what we're talking about up on Stonehill Highway as far as Learn to Live, leasing that building and running that type of, I call it a business out of there. If you'll turn to page 2 real quickly, I've highlighted in yellow the things that I just want to talk about. And basically in the first column, the person with a company like Learn to Live is the appellant. They argued that persons recovering, I'm reading from the book, from alcohol and drug abuse are mentally and physically handicapped persons. That's what they're claiming from section 89.020.2. Now over on the right side, this is what the court decided. And it states, the language of 89.020.2 is plain and unambiguous. By its terms, it addresses homes where unrelated physically or mentally handicapped persons reside, but not persons suffering from alcohol or drug abuse. In their plain meanings, these terms address different populations. If the legislature had wished to include individuals suffering from alcohol or drug abuse within the terms of sections 89.020, it could have done so. Subsequently, the court ruled that, the trial court did not err by ruling that section 89.020 did not require the city to allow up to 8 non-related individuals recovering from alcohol or drug abuse to live in a single residence in an R1A single-family district. So the court says, no, you don't have to let these people do that. That's not what section 89.020 states. Now, if you go to page 4, just real quickly, the court noted, it's long been recognized that local governments have broad power in zoning. Down at the bottom on the left, it says, furthermore, a group home accommodating up to 8 residents is proposed by the appellants is allowed in other zoning districts within the city, including R4, in our area it's R3, residential, and other districts combining residential, business, and commercial uses. The record does not show these accommodations to be unreasonable. This is a point I brought up before. We have an R3 zone. This type of place is allowed to conduct that business there. So we are giving them an option to do what they want to do. We're reasonable. And then the last page, it just says zoning ordinances designating residential districts and defining a family unit deal with economic and social legislation, not with the fundamental interest or a suspect classification, so that the test of constitutionality of such an ordinance is whether the ordinance is reasonable and not arbitrary. Furthermore, city government has a legitimate concern in laying out guidelines for land use addressed for family needs. So the court is ruling that you all have a lot of power to zone and do your ordinances the way you want. And in this particular case, and this was a Missouri Court of Appeals Western District, and of course they addressed the ADA and the national laws also in here. They're saying that our district you can not allow that type of business to be there in your zones. So I just want to throw that out there. You guys can read this at your leisure, but I hope that settles this case once and for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Question.
Yes, yes, sir.
Is it your position that this case means the city can prevent them from having the group home up there at all, or just that it can limit the number of people to 5?
Well, I'm not an attorney. I'm gonna leave that all up to you.
Because this case, the appeals court here upheld the trial court's order allowing the group home to be used by 5 or less, recovering from drug or alcohol abuse. So that, I was just wondering what.
Yeah, well, I guess I'd have to study that, and like I said, I'm hoping to get a positive reaction out of you all on this, because there's conflicting language here. Because they're saying the drug and alcohol is not treated like, let me get the right words, mentally or physically handicapped persons, okay? Now, whether they could file suit against us, if you, let's say you said, okay, we've got this law here, says we don't have to let you go up there by our definitions of our ordinance. If they wanted to sue the city, I'd say, well, that's fine. I think we have enough evidence in the record here to, come out and win with our decision.
Yeah, well, I'll look at it.
Yeah, and like I said, if you all decide to let them keep going, then eventually, I'll have to hire an expert, an attorney, to represent, myself or maybe more.
Thank
So
you.
anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Okay. We are going to move to, there is no other, old business. Under old business, utility vehicle and golf carts. We'll let the chief talk to us about that. Come on up.
You have questions for me, or, like I said, I contacted the chief of Washington. He hasn't gotten back to me yet, but I was looking at the other city ordinances about it, and I know smaller towns have it. My only concern with us approving something like that is just safety. This community, parking is terrible anyway. So having those around the city streets of people trying to park and they want to go out to eat or something, and where they're going to park at, we just had to put a new lot in on 5th Street for parking. There's been people riding around with coolers with alcohol in them, and people been erecting these things. Safety issues, I just don't think this is what these are for. They need to be utilized on farms or people out hunting or camping and using those things, but on city streets, it just adds more liability for the city and things we don't stone. I've spoken to the officers and state patrolmen, and they just don't think it's a good idea for us to have this in the city limits of Hermann.
Well, I have to make a comment. Saturday I worked at my shop on 1st Street, and I don't know if I just noticed them more, but I counted 23 of those go by my shop. The biggest problem I see with them at that location is they stop coming down the hill or they stop coming off Schiller Street.
Yeah.
Well, of course, they gotta bang the butt to get 80% up, real fast instead of just loading it down. And there's people walking all the time. That's my issue with it, I mean, we have that issue not only with them, but with the pickup trucks too, but I'm just saying. And first of all, if I understand the law right, they're not supposed to be on state highway anyway, correct?
No. You can cross over.
that's
but
a
you
state
can't drive
highway.
Down state highways.
So, I mean, personally, I don't think it's a good idea. That's just my input.
Like I said, I'm not in favor of it for, again, certain reasons, but that's, I guess, up to you all and what you feel is best for the city. But speaking of the officers and state troopers now, they just think that's not a good idea for the city of Herman. And other communities like Gerald and Rosebud, a lot smaller, don't have the traffic we have, tourism, other things we have to worry about that they don't, that I just don't think that's a good fit for Herman right now. And like I said, it's up to you all.
Did you get a chance to look at the ordinance that Dave sent out to Washington
Yeah.
had? I like the ordinance, and I question, I said, I'm not fond of the permits to allow them, and I think that's what you're saying. I think we should update, because our ordinance specifies ATVs and describes it where the seat is straddled like a bicycle and use handlebars. What Washington has there takes in consideration golf carts and 4 to 6 wheelers. So I think we should update it to give you the ammunition, but I think the permits is gonna cause you more headaches and they're good for 3 years. I agree with you, let's just keep them off the streets.
And that's up to you all, what you all want to decide or what's best for the city right now. But
So
I'm not
would
in
you
favor for it.
think that ordinance that Dave forward would be a good one?
I have to read it some more, but I just don't think.
Well,
that-
this one, you might be able to clean up your definition a little bit to address the different types of side-by-sides and UTVs and that are on the road now. But Washington pretty much allows it
Yeah.
and doesn't require them to have turn signals and brake lights and things like that unless you're operating it after dark. And so I don't think that's what Chief and Mayor are saying. That,
I'm not in favor of it, but that's, again, it's up to you all. As a chief, safety and everything, I don't think we need those.
There's powerful lobbies in Washington with the chamber and the $1.5 million plus fair they put on every August and different downtown festivals and things like that, where the board's just like cruising around on those things. And here you go. So,
I mean, we use the golf course for Oktoberfest for officers to get around in, but that's it.
But in that ordinance, government use of them are exempt from that when they are using in performance of their duties.
Yes.
So there is an exception for, the PD to use it.
Yeah.
But PD does not drive down First Street or Market Street.
They drive to get to where they have to and then usually.
Yeah, I mean, but most I see them on the secondary roads.
I mean, we try to stay off them because of the speed of them and you don't want some semi truck flying up on the back of you. So we try to get around town as quick as we can.
I just consider that, considering our town's layout, First and Market, our state highways, it would be a headache, if any, to have an exception to allow them only to cross. They're going to, if they're allowed in town, they're going to be driving down First Street. They're going to be driving down Market.
Yeah.
Like I said, Saturday, I counted.
I saw quite a bit too on Saturday.
So what are we going to do about the ones that are coming into town now?
Catch them again and advise them they're not allowed on city streets or state highways and be parked. I mean, some campers bring them and they try to go around town in them, and we've stopped them and told them we can't use them.
I appreciate everyone considering it since a citizen asked, so thank you.
Thank you.
I think we should, if everybody agrees with what Dave forwarded us for the Washington ordinance, let's replace our current one with that. And as far as I've heard this a couple times, well, the campers are bringing them in, we may need to put a sign down there in the campground. ATVs, UTVs are prohibited.
But Washington allows it.
Well, we could take that, no, it doesn't, unless you got a permit inspected by the chief, then the permit's good for 3 years. Other than that, they don't allow them on the street. Is that right, Dave?
No, they do.
Oh, they do?
Utility vehicles, off-highway vehicles, golf carts operated for agricultural purposes, quote unquote,
Agriculture.
or industrial on-premises purposes between sunrise and sunset, unless, and then they can do it during dark hours if they have headlights, taillights, brake lights, and turn signals. And accept all-terrain vehicles as defined differently than utility vehicles. It doesn't even have to be for industrial or agricultural. Those are just allowed during the daytime. But what we might be able to do, and I didn't really look at this yet, is look at our definitions. If our code prohibits them or limits them, expand the definition a little bit to include the all-terrain vehicles and the recreational vehicles and the golf carts. They've got 4 or 5 different classes of vehicles that they're talking about here. So
I mean, I can
I think
understand,
it's worthwhile maybe looking at that.
I can understand why Washington would want to, pretty much like you say, the fair. When they do the fair, that's a big operation, so those people are all over the place. But
Especially downtown.
yeah, I don't know. So, do we want him to come up with a ordinance for us to look at, maybe?
A revision?
That's,
The definition part especially, how about that?
Definition and to disallow operation within the city of Hermann.
and then we can look at it from that point and move forward. Okay? Any other discussion on that? Any other old business? Any new business? If not, we will, as Dave does, we'll move to ordinances.
Okay, the first is bill number 2023-31, an ordinance to approve a support and maintenance agreement by and between the city of Hermann, Missouri and Electric Controls Company for the city's SCADA control system.
Okay, so this is not to be confused with what I was just talking about in my report. This is our regular annual maintenance for the SCADA system itself. Next week will be potentially asking you to approve a purchase for the SCADA dialer.
Everybody understand that?
This is for the service contract of the equipment we already have on hand.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Do you have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve bill number 2023-31.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We need to read that the second time.
Bill number 2023-31 for second reading, an ordinance to approve a support and maintenance agreement by and between the city of Hermann, Missouri and Electric Controls Company for the city's SCADA control system.
Do I have a motion to approve second reading?
Move 2023-31, second read.
Motion's made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next, for first reading, bill number 2023-32, an ordinance to approve a contract by and between the city of Hermann, Missouri and Corrective Asphalt Materials LLC for a CFR restorative seal project.
You all understand what this is, what we do every year?
It's like chip and seal or
Seal,
whatever.
sealing. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion, bill number 2023-32 approved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We also need to read that the second time.
Bill number 2023-32, an ordinance to approve a contract by and between the city of Hermann, Missouri and Corrective Asphalt Materials LLC for a CFR restorative seal project.
Do I have a motion to approve second reading?
I move to approve bill number 2023-32, second read.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next, for first reading, bill number 2023-33, an ordinance to revoke Article 2 of Chapter 135 of the Hermann Municipal Code and to substitute in lieu thereof a new Article 2 titled Drug and Alcohol-Free Workplace Policy.
So I think Corey might have sent a memo or something, or maybe not, but this is just for the PSC for our gas audit. They wanted us to just put, it's literally just a couple sentences, right, Corey, on what page?
Yes. It's on pages 14 and 15. And they wanted more detail on how we retain drug testing records for pipeline workers.
So he's got it there in red for you, so it's just to satisfy the PSC auditors.
Okay, any other questions? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve bill number 2023-33.
Motion is made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We will move on to motions. Do I have a motion to approve our minutes from the last meeting?
I move to approve the minutes from August 28, 2023.
Motion is made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. I have a motion to pay the bills.
I move that we pay the bills.
Motion's made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's carried. Did that one. Appointments to the airport board. David Bishop, Stephen Parker, James Boothie, and Tim McMahon. Have a motion to approve them.
Move to approve.
Motion is made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Approve the bid for the rock trenching from Kolb Grading for $58,630.
Do kind of have a question on that. I know we're in the middle of the project and we have to try to get it done. But hopefully now, if we continue with that vision of continuing down Saw Plant Road, or whatever it's called, Sawmill Road.
Sand plant, yeah.
Or sand plant, that probably gonna have to pop up and say, no, we're not gonna go any further.
Well, it really depends on the laminations as we continue on. So this whole issue right now is the thickness of this lamination, right? So most of the rock that we run into in town runs in 4-inch to 8-inch, maybe 12-inch laminations, between seams of rock, and those break out really easy. The one we're in right now, as I said, it's 4 feet, and we haven't hit the bottom of it. So if we continue on with that lamination and get through it, and we get back into 4 and 12-inch laminations, I mean, I'm not going to say it's still, even at the price that we're going to have in this now, it still pans out very well over the life of the utility, and that's just sewer. And what you got to remember is we're also putting electric and gas in that ditch. So the ditch itself is going to pay off, even with what we've got pretty much guaranteed with Terry's project. So if it continues on, or if anything large scale went in the back, like a subdivision or something, I would definitely argue that it's worth continuing. But we'll have a better idea what we could get into. This, like I say, I've been here 20 years, and I've only seen this kind of rock like one other time. And thankfully, we weren't the ones digging in it. But yeah, it's an oddball situation. I certainly didn't anticipate it. That's why contracts have rock clauses in them, because you can't see it till you're in them.
I'm just saying, with this in mind now,
Yeah, absolutely.
the vision of going forward, it might have to go on the back burner until
Well,
we can get core samples or something to see what
Well,
we
and
can
so
get. Or,
there you get into a situation, because you absolutely could do that. You could have a boring rig come in and take these samples, but by the time you do that, you're going to be in 15 to 20% of what this rock trencher cost you. So it's one of those things. It's a gamble, and I hope you guys feel I was very, very honest about that from the beginning. We knew we were going to hit rock. It's Hermann, and B, look up the hill. But I certainly didn't anticipate a 4-foot seam of rock. I think that I would reserve judgment on anything like that until we see what we get into towards the top, and we can make more decisions, better educated decisions as we get through up there. But yeah, and as far as, I did want to kind of touch base with this on this versus the blasting. I did have 2 other companies besides the 3 that bid the project They didn't return anything on it. I sent the plans to one and the one didn't return my call. Using this trencher versus blasting, we're gonna have a usable fill. If we blast it, we're gonna have shot rock we can't put back in the ditch. So we should save somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000 on rock. So you can kind of back that out of this. If it's really good, it'll be about $8,000 we'll save. But yeah, not what I anticipated having to pitch tonight, for sure.
I do have one question. This trencher, how wide of a trench does it do?
32 inches.
Is that wide enough to do maintenance on the line?
Yes. So we didn't want to go any smaller than that. We actually wanted to go 36 inches, and they have a machine that will do that, but the machine is so big that it has to come here in 3 pieces.
Right.
So that was not an option. But
I didn't know if blasting might have been the better option for future maintenance of it.
so it would have gained us about 8 inches on the width of the ditch. But the guys, we all talked about it, and they think 32 is plenty sufficient. They can get down in there and do what they need. Most of their, so the shoring stuff we have, usually you end up 2 feet to 32 inches anyway. So
Just don't
that's where they end up.
So it's for 10 days with an operator at 10 hours.
Yep.
Do you foresee it being less or more? Or you
So-
think that's-
With the bigger machine, they're renting this machine. This isn't their machine. With their bigger machine, he said 2 days. He said we can make 600 feet 2 days. This is a substantially smaller machine. I think the other one was 120 or 140,000 pounds. This one's only like 68 only. But he thinks that 10 days is going to be plenty. But it's rock. So, he can't guarantee that, and he did tell me, if it's less than that, they'll back that out of the price, that same price that they were going to charge us for extra days. But he made it sound, I've never seen one of these things operate. Steve Selnerick actually gave me the idea for it when I told him what we had going, and from the videos I've watched, I'm kind of interested to see this thing work, because we have a little bit of rock around here. So.
I was going to ask if we couldn't get out of it, if we could use it other places, but.
Well, I mean, so we probably could, but then to move it to wherever we're going is a whole nother situation. But it'll be a good contact to make for sure, for future, because blasting, it's got its own stigma, and we would be in close proximity to people's homes and things like that. So if we can steer clear of that, I would just as soon do that.
I agree. Any other questions? If not, do I have a motion to approve it?
I'll move to approve.
Motion's made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Outdoor seating permit for Young Zhang Das Rhineland Entertainment LLC, 101 East 4th Street.
Do have a comment I was wanting to make on this. He's not here this evening, but I knew we'd had some discussions around it, and I've had some people ask me. It's in reference to the speaker located in their outdoor seating area. By our ordinance, it's not allowed. Now, we did make one exception at one time, a year or so ago, to another location, and he did it one time on a weekend. But our ordinance, which is indicated within this information, it says there shall be no live entertainment or speakers placed in the permitted area. He has a speaker 12 foot right above the outdoor seating area. Other than that, I don't have a problem with the outdoor seating area, but if we do it for one, then all these other ones are now going to be able to have speakers out there too. Or we have to rewrite that ordinance.
So you want to make a motion to approve it with them removing the speaker in the seating area? Is that what I'm understanding?
Perfect.
I'll second it.
Motion's made and seconded. Approve the seating with removal of the speaker in the seating area. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Corey, you'll have to relay that to him.
Sure will.
Okay, conditional use permit renewal for Mark 9 LLC White House Hotel for the outdoor liquor. Motion to approve that.
Motion to approve.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Conditional use permit renewal Hermann Inc., 10 Mill Brewery outdoor liquor. Have a motion to approve that.
I'll move to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstain.
So carried. Caterers permit Myrtle's Distilled Spirits LLC for the Smoke Fest 2023 at the Amphitheater, September 16th, 2023. A motion to approve that.
Move to approve.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Say hi.
Aye.
I hit my thing too early, sorry. Okay, now we're approved. Carried away, excuse me. Caterers permit CRS Distilling LLC Smokefest 2023 for the Amphitheater, September 16, 2023.
I move to approve.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Caterers permit for Stonehill Winery, Witches and Wine, 4th and Schiller Street, October 19th, 2023.
I move to approve.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Caterers permit Lionheart Whiskey Backyard Chili Cook-Off, backyard of 215 Schiller Street, November 5th, 2023. Motion to approve?
Is that enclosed back there?
No, it's just their backyard area.
Are they gonna enclose it if they're selling drinks?
They'll have to.
I'll approve it if they enclose for the drinks.
Motion's made, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Caterers permit for Blacksmith Distillery Smokefest 2023, the Amphitheater, September 16th, 2023.
Move to approve.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Caterers permit for Fernwell Distilling Company Hermann Harvest Festival Amphitheater, September 30th, 2023.
I move to approve.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Caterers permit for Wood Hat Spirits Smokefest 2023, the Amphitheater, September 16th, 2023.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve, do I have a second?
Second.
Made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We have a couple of late ones here. The Burnt Barrel for the Smoke Fest, the Amphitheater, September 16th, 2023. Have a motion to approve that one.
I'll move to approve.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We also have another caterer's permit for Tom's Town Grilling Company, Grilling Company, for the Smoke Fest.
I move to approve.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Okay, liquor license for the, called the boardroom at the bank bar. That's changed hands, so they're basically just, they already have a liquor license, but now it's gonna be a different,
Just a different
business
name.
Same location.
yeah, same location and everything. We have a motion to approve that?
I'll move to approve.
Motion is made, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So carried. I believe that covers everything. No reports, so a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank Thank you for everyone that's watching.